sound of a horse galloping through mud, distant thunder. I've wrangled cattle, fought storms, buried pain, but I never learned how to fix what I broke in her. The silence between us was louder than any thunderclap. A chasm I didn't know how to cross. All I knew was that I had to ride, to chase down the ghost that was haunting my home, even if it meant facing a part of myself I'd long since buried. The rain felt like penance, washing away the pride, but not the ache in my gut. Every hoofbeat was a prayer that it wasn't too late, that the woman I loved more than the sunrise was still waiting for me on the other side of this storm. Sound of horse slowing, dismounting, boots on a wooden porch, a bar door creaking open. The light from the saloon spilled out onto the muddy street, a hazy promise in the darkness. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of cheap whiskey and regret. And there she was, Mary. She looked up, and the music in her eyes died the second she saw me standing there, dripping rainwater onto the floorboards. "James, what on earth? You told my boy you loved me once." The words came out harsher than I intended, sharp as broken glass. A flicker of guilt crossed her face. It slipped out. "I didn't mean any harm." "You did harm, Mary." I stepped closer, my voice low. "My wife's at home right now, questioning her worth because of a memory you couldn't keep to yourself. She's wondering if she's enough." Mary looked down at her hands, the shame painting her cheeks. When she looked up again, her eyes were pleading. "You love her, don't you?" The question hung in the air, simple and heavy. "More than life," I said, and the truth of it settled deep in my bones. There was nothing more to say. I turned my back on her, on the past, and walked back out into the cleansing rain, leaving her with her tears and the ghost of a love that never was. Sound of a crackling fire, a pen scratching on paper. When he left tonight, I didn't know if it was to fight for me or to find what I couldn't give him. The fire danced in the hearth, but it couldn't warm the chill that had settled deep inside me. I watched the flames lick at the logs, turning them to ash, and wondered if that's what was happening to us. Was our love burning out, leaving nothing but embers and regret? My journal lay open, the pages filled with questions I was too afraid to ask out loud. Each word was a tear I couldn't cry. A soft knock on the door. "Mama Anna." A small voice cut through the silence. Sam stood there, rubbing his eyes, a little cowboy in his nightshirt. "The roof's leaking again. In my room." I closed the journal, pushing the darkness away. A faint smile touched my lips as I wiped a stray tear from my cheek. "Then I guess we fix it together, cowboy." He was my anchor in this storm, a reminder that even when things feel broken, you don't run, you stay, you rebuild. Sound of pouring rain, a horse neighing in fear, a loud crack of wood, a thud and a groan. The ride home was a battle. The sky had opened up again, determined to wash the whole world away. My horse, spooked by the wind and the flashes of lightning, fought me at every turn. Then, out of the darkness, a fallen branch loomed across the trail. The horse reared, its scream lost in the roar of the storm. I held on, but the saddle was slick, and my grip failed. I hit the ground hard. The air knocked from my lungs. The lantern shattered, plunging me into absolute blackness. Lying there in the mud, with pain shooting up my leg, a strange thought came to me. Funny how love humbles you, makes you crawl before it lets you stand again. Sound of birds chirping, a door creaking open. Morning broke, pale and quiet after the storm. The world outside smelled of wet earth and new beginnings. I opened the front door, half expecting to see nothing but the muddy yard, and then I saw him, James. He was limping toward the porch, his clothes soaked and caked with mud, his face a mask of exhaustion. For a second, relief washed over me, so powerful it buckled my knees. Then, the fear and the anger came rushing in behind it. "James! What happened?" I ran to him, my voice trembling. He leaned against the porch rail, trying to catch his breath. "Horse spooked. Road was blocked." He managed a weak smile. "Guess I needed to fall to come to my senses." "You could have died." The words were an accusation, a plea. The thought of it, of him lying out there alone all night, it was unbearable. He looked at me then, and the exhaustion in his eyes was replaced by a fierce, unwavering certainty. "Then I'd have died riding back to the only home I got, you." Sound of a fire crackling, cloth dabbing skin. He sat by the fire, shivering despite the heat, while I cleaned the gash on his forehead. The silence was thick with unspoken words. My hands were gentle, but my heart was a knot of fear and anger. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore. He spoke first, his voice quiet. "I went to see Mary." My hands stilled. I held my breath, waiting. "Why?" "To end the whisper between us," he said, meeting my gaze. "She told the truth. She loved me once, a long time ago. But that love's dead, Anna. It's ash." He reached out, stopping just short of touching my hand. "What's left of my heart, every beat, it's for you, only for you." Tears blurred my vision. It was what I needed to hear, but the hurt was still there. A raw wound. "Then stop riding away when I'm hurt," I whispered, my voice breaking. "Stay. Fight beside me. Don't leave me to fight these ghosts alone." "That's what I came home to do," he promised, his voice raw with emotion. "I'm not going anywhere." Sound of a deep breath, hands clasping. We sat there in the quiet glow of the fire, the storm inside us finally beginning to calm. "I thought love meant never doubting," I said, looking at our joined hands. "I thought it was supposed to be perfect, without cracks." I looked up at him. "But maybe real love, maybe it's forgiving even when you do doubt. Maybe it's about choosing to mend the cracks together." A genuine smile touched his lips, reaching his tired eyes. "That's the kind I want, not the easy kind, the kind that lasts because we fought for it." He squeezed my hand. "The real kind." "Then promise me one thing," I said, needing the vow to be spoken. "No more ghosts between us, no more secrets." He held my gaze, his own clear and steady. "Only memories worth keeping," he vowed. "Our memories." Sound of children laughing in the distance. Gentle breeze. We stepped out onto the porch together. The storm clouds were breaking apart, and glorious shafts of sunlight were pouring through, turning the wet world to gold. The kids, released from the house, ran out into the yard, their laughter echoing in the clean air. I leaned my head on James's shoulder, a sense of peace settling over me for the first time in days. He wrapped his arm around me. "You ever wonder what makes a family?" he asked softly. I watched our children, my children, his children, our children, playing in the sun. A real smile, bright and true, spread across my face. Maybe it's not the ones we birth, but the ones we choose to love anyway. The ones we fight for. Music swells softly. He didn't need more kids. He didn't need a past. He couldn't change. He just needed my heart, and I finally learned that was enough. It had always been enough.